top 10 points allowed, where the Packers are number 20. The 49ers are top 10. They're 10th overall. Total defense, the 49ers are 6th, where the Packers are 11th overall, which total defense still, that stuns me at this point, because the Packers' pass defense has been at least better. It's been 13th in the league, while the passing defense for the 49ers is 4th in the league. Now, that was with some of their guys and with some of this pass rush. So, again, I go back to when you talk about Will Fuller, Mike, it's kind of like, that they can't stop the run. But where their defense is the best is when the Packers have a score or two and you force a team to become one-dimensional. Then Mike Pettin and that secondary can dial it up. They can pass rush. They can make a quarterback, force them into a couple of mistakes. Does it take the Packers with a lead only to win a ball game? Do you see them coming from behind, say, 2 scores or more to win a ball game?
Yeah, I mean, this team's not built to come from behind. I mean, this team is built to get out in front of a lead, make other teams throw, make other teams one-dimensional, and that's when they have their full complement of players on offense. They don't have that right now. I mean, no Aaron Jones. Okay, fine. Jamal Williams is an adequate running back. Okay, no Jamal Williams. All right, so A.J. Dillon gets, nope, COVID, can't do that. I mean, what's strange about the Packers is up until last week when Matt LaFleur's teams would lose, they lose in embarrassing fashion. They lose by 20. They lose 38-10. Last week was the outlier in all of this. When they lose, they get their tail kicked. They aren't built to come from behind for whatever reason. And maybe Aaron Rodgers has to take some of that criticism because, Bill, when you punch Aaron Rodgers, it's like if you get to remember Carlos Zambrano of the Cubs? When you got to Carlos Zambrano early, that dude was out by the 3rd inning, and he was beating up the Gatorade barrel. If you can get to Aaron early and punch him in the mouth early, I don't know if Aaron's good at recovering. And, Bill, we saw that in Tampa. He throws the pick, he throws the second pick, and Aaron's never, ever the same. So, yes, my answer is this team's not built to come. They have to make other teams one-dimensional. They have to get a lead.
Let's do this. We'll go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back. Marcus Paff from The Score up there in Appleton joining us. Also, Mike Wickett, our good buddy. He was on the panel a couple of weeks ago. He's here as well. This is the Bill Michaels Huddle. It's brought to you by our friends at Bud Light Seltzer. Unquestionably good. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Huddle right after this.
16 stations strong.
The Bill Michaels the microphone is
Sports
on.
Talk Network.
You're streaming right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
Okay.
Your mic is
right.
on.
You had me worried for a moment.
Just so you know, you're not going on the air in Wisconsin at this moment. You are going.
But I'm not under FCC guidelines.
No,
right
you can
now.
say whatever the fuck
But
you want.
Still, yeah.
And I didn't change the setting before I hit stream, so it first came up as Doug. But whatever, it all works. It all works out.
All right, just heads up. We got a 3-minute break here.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Got my camera working finally. How's life?
Good, man. I can't complain. We're in Vegas, but
that's rough.
It's warm.
Yeah.
That part of it's good. How's everything in Iowa?
Well, it was about 12 degrees for a few days, and we got snow, and it's 70s all week. I don't know.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's 70s all week here.
Wow.
Yeah, I might go play golf on Saturday with my brother-in-law for the final time.
That's awesome, man.
I'm gonna go get a beer. Awesome. I'll be right back.
All right.
I got something real quick. So if you guys accidentally hear some audio, it's probably coming from my end.
What's life like in the epicenter of the political world right now, as the focus is all on your state?
Yeah, you know what I did? This is the first election that I can recall. I haven't taken in a minute of it. Last night, I'm kind of ashamed of it, but at the same point in time, I'm like, I'm not going to ride this whatever wave of back and forth all night. So I just said, wake me up tomorrow. And of course it's still
it's like wake me up Friday.
Yeah. Yep.
Wake me up.
No doubt.
And then wake me up after the recount.
Right. Because there's going to be, no matter what happens here, there's going to be a lot of lingering stuff. So I just give me a final answer. It's like an NBA game. I said I'll tune in for the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we were glued to it last night, and it's funny, since we had the kids, Lee doesn't drink as much because she had to take basically 2 years off from drinking.
Right. Yeah.
Because she was pregnant for the better part of 2 years.
Yeah.
And so she had 2 cocktails last night, and she woke up this morning and like, I think I'm hungover. I'm like, you had 2?
Yeah, I can imagine though. 2 years away from the stuff. Well,
yeah, I mean, she would
take a toll.
You know, you're allowed when you're pregnant like half a glass of wine every so often, and she would have that. But that's how she knew she was pregnant. She was at a bar, and Tito's didn't taste very good.
Guys, what's going on?
Packers need a touchdown. They have no timeouts. Rodgers, pressure coming. Hit as he throws. Is it a fumble or is it incomplete? Minnesota picks it up, and the Vikings look like they have it. And that will do it.
In order to win this football game, a couple things had to happen. We knew we had to stop the run. That didn't happen. We knew we had to play penalty-free. That didn't happen. The penalties were a big part of it. And when you do that, you're going to get beat.
Welcome back. Those are the words of Matt LaFleur. Penalties, can't stop the run. It was interesting because, by the way, we got our friends Marcus Paff and Mike Wickett joining us on the panel tonight on the Bill Michaels Huddle, brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer. But, Marcus, I'll start with you. Matt LaFleur said after the game the other day, we got to fix that, and we got to fix it now, talking about the run defense, specifically the defense and the fundamentals of just tackling. Was that a very loud salvo, seemingly over the bow of one Mike Pettin?
Well, I guess you could take it a lot of ways. I don't know how exactly they're going to go from whatever it is that they are right now to, I guess what is the goal? Serviceable at this point? I think that's the way you have to look at it. This group is not going to jump up into as we said in the previous segment, not going to jump into the top 10 overnight. So, I think it probably ultimately is, Bill, a message to Mike Pettin that, look, you've got to get this group in order. We at least have to be able to go out there and keep our team in ball games. I mean, what happened, not just in the second half, but in the first half too. And they're fortunate that those were time-consuming drives on the part of Minnesota, because it looked like they could have put up as many points as they would have wanted to, or could have wanted to, had they had more possessions. But you have to be able to come up with a stop, Mike Wickett, a single stop here or there at some point. And, I'll say this goes back even to the years in which Dom Capers led this defense, Bill. I think they've always been built on the idea of you're going to need one or two key plays throughout the course of a game to give yourself a chance to survive and allow Aaron Rodgers and that offense to win the game for you. And they did that early on this season. Of course, the big one that comes to mind is Taysom Hill's fumble in that New Orleans game, because without that, I don't know that they go on and win that one. They need momentum shifting plays like that each and every week, especially if they're going to allow the opposing running back to gash them for 6 to 8 yards a pop. So look, circling back to what you said, I think ultimately this does fall on Mike Pettin, whether that's right or wrong or fair or not, because you can certainly make the case that the personnel isn't where it needs to be, but he's got to find a way to make them better and at least be a group that keeps the offense hanging in a game.
So, Mike, I look at it as Mike Pettin is, and I don't know, look, as much as you can put this on Mike Pettin for what we witnessed last week, they lined up and just said, we're going to run the ball at you. Didn't they? It came down more to fundamentals and just kind of knowing your spot more than anything. Now, some of that you can call coaching, but wasn't this just where they just beat you up and Dalvin Cook just beat you up?
Well, wouldn't you and I was watching all the pregame shows, and I watched a lot of the, countdown shows, and everybody said it's the windiest day. Every stadium had wind. And so as a football fan, even a novice football fan like myself, I thought, well, that means that there's going to be a lot of guys that aren't throwing for a lot of yards. So defensively, you would say, well, what if we force their quarterback into throwing the ball? Oh, who's their quarterback? Oh, it's Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins sucks. Even on a good day in a dome, Kirk Cousins sucks. why in the world wouldn't you stack 8 in the box? You have your all-pro corner out there in Jair Alexander. The game plan should have been, we are not letting Dalvin Cook, who just got healthy, coming off a bye week, coming off an injury, where he got back to 100%. Why wasn't the plan stack 8 in the box and make Kirk Cousins, who sucks, make that guy beat you? I mean, yeah, there might be a couple of plays where Adam Thielen gets a couple of balls or a big one for Jefferson or whatever, but I'd feel better knowing that Kirk Cousins, who sucks, was my focus as opposed to Dalvin Cook, and who is now the NFC Player of the Week after scoring 4 touchdowns against Green Bay. This was a terrible game plan put forth by Mike Pettin. He did not put his team in a good spot to win last week.
So let me ask you this, Marcus, when we move forward now, I can look at because I saw on one series, they dominated. They ran the football right down the Packers' throats. The next series, you come out, you don't have as many big, beefy bodies, and maybe you're going with more athleticism, try to catch Dalvin Cook and run him down rather than letting him run wild. I got the sense that Mike Pettin was just kind of throwing anything at the wall to see if anything stuck. And to me, that's more of an indictment, as Gary Ellison loves to say, it's more the Jimmies and the Joes and the X's and the O's. If you're just throwing anybody and everybody out there to try to do something, to try to get a stop. Did you get that sense, or do you think that it's just it was like many were screaming, what the hell is he doing out there?
No, yeah, I 100% did. I'm with you, Bill. I think that's what Mike Pettin ultimately arrived at is, look, nothing we are doing in this game is working. And historically, not a whole lot that they've done to try to stop the run has worked real well. And I realize from season to season, you go back the last couple of years, the personnel has changed a little bit, but they just haven't had the guys to be that type of a group. And that's one that can dominate up front. Sure, Kenny Clark is a terrific talent, and he can do what he can do, but he's not going to be the end all be all for this group. He can't do it alone, quite frankly. So I saw that too. I thought at the end of the day, that's Mike Pettin resorted to let's throw whatever blitz packages we can out there, anything and everything to see if there's something that works against this Vikings offense. And I understand where Mike's coming from with that and trying to force Kirk Cousins to throw, but it's just like historically, they haven't been able to do that against any team for the last couple of seasons that has wanted to run the football. No matter what they've thrown at them, the opposition has found a way. So I'm looking forward at this schedule, and you still have Derrick Henry down the road. I realize this is several weeks away.
What's he going to do to this defensive front? Rush for 250?
Right. It's frightening. And look, Christian McCaffrey is expected to be back off of IR here real soon, and they have the Panthers on the schedule. So 2 different backs, but I expect opposing teams to run the ball 25, 30 times moving forward, Bill. It just seems like that's the easy formula for success against this Packers defense. And in turn, you keep Aaron Rodgers off the field.
So keeping Aaron Rodgers off the field, he's got Devontae Adams.
End of list.
There you go. That's pretty much. Look, I find it interesting. That's it. Look, in this upcoming game, the one thing that I found interesting was when you start to look at a lot of the breakdowns, they'll show you how many receptions each team has, how many receiving yards each team has, and it's usually, a couple of wide receivers. In both of these teams' cases, it is a wide receiver and a tight end. Now, for the 49ers, losing George Kittle, he's got 474 yards, and he's their top receiver on this team. Brandon Ayuk is the other guy, the young kid, coming into this situation, while you've got Devontae Adams and Robert Tonyan with 309 yards. He's your leading receiver. And then there's a couple of players that have 23 receptions, while Devontae Adams has 43. Do they have enough? Do you like the way they put guys in motion? They spread them around. Aaron Rodgers, is this an MVP season we're witnessing out of Aaron Rodgers? Because what they're doing should not really be done, but if not for Aaron Rodgers.
No, it's not an MVP season because there are guys having special years. It's a good year for Aaron. It's probably going to wind up being better than 2019, but it's not a special year. It's not the 2011 year where he was just absolutely bananas and setting records. I mean, what Russell Wilson's doing, Patrick Mahomes will have a say in this, I'm sure, for the MVP. There will be some other guys in there. It's the whole idea of going back to what your quote from Gary Ellerson was, X's and O's versus Jimmys and Joes. And for a long time, I talked about it on my podcast, Wicket on Wisconsin, about it being about the X's and the O's. Well, man, I'll tell you what, when your second best pass catcher, who is Aaron Jones, is out, Jamal Williams is a good receiver out of the backfield, and now all of a sudden you got Devontae and, I mean, Tunyon, I don't know if Tunyon's special. I don't think he's George Kittle or Darren Waller. I think he's an above-average tight end. It's starting to come down to, man, looking at that trade deadline, going back to what we talked about out of the gate, Bill, boy, if Alan Lazard's not back till December or mid-December, or if at all this year, and we don't know his return date, I'm sure, I feel terrible looking at MVS, who I'm just done with. I mean, he's got the highest drop rate of any wide receiver in the National Football League. They need to stop trying to make MVS a thing. And I don't know if they can continue to try to make EQ a thing because St. Brown keeps dropping the ball that hits him in the hands.
What are your other options, Mike? What else can you do except try to make those guys a thing at this point?
I mean, you have to. It's a great question. I mean, they tried to address it, and I know people want to go back to the draft. And man, looking at all these receivers, all these rookie receivers that are studs in the NFL, T. Higgins and Chase Claypool and Ayuk, who we're going to see on Thursday.
Ferguson.
Judy,
Jefferson,
Ruggs,
yeah.
CeeDee Lamb, like all of these receivers. And I was fine with the Love pick, like whatever, fine. But everybody who wanted a wide receiver is coming back, and the chickens are coming home to roost right now because, Marcus, the answer is you need Aaron Jones healthy. He's your second best pass catcher on this team, or else it's going to be a lot of Devontae, Tunyon, and Sternberger.
He's the linchpin to this offense, and it goes back to what Matt LaFleur wanted to do this season and build around the run first, quote unquote, and then allow Aaron Rodgers to play off of that. Look, it says something, and not a knock on Alan Lazard because he did a lot of great things early on in those first couple of weeks of the season. But when your offense is relying on Alan Lazard,
he's a fine receiver. He's fine.
He's a fine receiver. He is just like you said about Robert Tunyon, who is an above average tight end. These are good players, and not to take anything away from them, but for the Packers to go to that, what we always like to refer to as the next level, they need another perennial playmaker, another elite guy opposite Devontae Adams. So not everybody can roll to him, week in and week out. And I realize credit to Adams because he still had 2 touchdown grabs in that first half last week. He's just that good, but you have to be able to mix and match a little bit. Mike, you brought up the 2011
season. You're not a big fan of Malik
season.
Shepard? You don't think that's the guy to take home Lombardi's trophy?
Well, you go back to the 2011 season when Aaron Rodgers had a special year. Look at who he had on the outside. I mean, you're throwing to 4 name brand receivers in guys that are household names is the term I'm looking for there. And you just don't have that right now, guys.
When we come back, I want to talk about the guys that are listed as questionable, the guys that are listed as out, and guys that maybe you cross your fingers they actually play in this contest. Stay tuned. You got Marcus Paff, also Mike Wicken alongside. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle brought to you by our friends at Bud Light Seltzer. Unquestionably good. We got more after this.
Everywhere in Wisconsin, the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network.
I'm going to just reset this meeting for the first time real quick.
Cool. Hopefully I didn't blow your clock there, Bill. Sorry if I rambled.
No, he's fine. 35 is like the latest we got to be out at that second.
So do I have to do anything here? I don't remember.
No, I just got to end it. You guys just got to click
Rejoin.
the link again. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Radio. For those that are watching the stream right now, this is a radio budget. You use Zoom for free when you got 3 guys in different states. There we go.
Okay, sounds good. I'm surprised Zoom hasn't caught on to this yet.
I know.
There we go.
All right.
Back.
Just about a little over 2 minutes before we get back, all right?
All right, sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah, it's almost like once Bill gives it to you and me, Marcus, I'm like, we don't need to go back to Bill for a while. Let's just yell.
We'll yammer. How's the podcast treating you?
Busy.
Yeah?
Busy.
How many are you doing a week?
Just, I had to cut back. Like, doing 2 was just really exhausting. And I have these 3 kids running around here that that are taking up a lot of time. And I do some news for small market Indiana.
Oh, right on, man. That's cool.
Right outside of Bloomington, where the university is. And
oh, cool.
I do it every night, so it's like trying to fit in. Like, I do my podcast. I did my podcast today about the game tomorrow with a guy who covers the Niners for SI. He was actually on before the NFC title game, back when he had a job before Entercom made cuts.
Oh, yeah.
But now he's working for Sports Illustrated, so it kind of worked out.
Oh, wow.
I do one during the week, and then I do one usually after the Packers game. And then the dad podcast is usually every couple of weeks, just when I can find time and when I can find a dad who has time. When the Bucs were in the playoffs, I was doing one every other night because they were playing every other night. So I was doing like 5 a week. I could do one daily. I wouldn't have any problem doing it daily. It's just these 3 children of mine, you know?
Well, I mean, like, doing the show is not like sitting down and talking is not the time consuming part. It's if you want to edit or you want to lay music in and just posting to your hosting platform. Yeah. It's all that little ancillary stuff that I think is just the annoyance of doing a bunch of those. So, but yeah, no, that's cool. It keeps you fresh.
Keeps me fresh. Keeps me still, sort of
in the game.
Sort of in the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. It's a cool opportunity that didn't exist, obviously, for us 15 years ago.
If we all would have listened to Kim Reese 15 years ago, or listened to Entercom Corporate when they're like, hey, you guys need to get into this podcasting thing, then we'd all be Joe Rogan and have millions, and and it would be great. But we're like, no, radio's fine.
Working in podcasting, you have no idea how many people think they're going to be Joe Rogan.
Oh, I believe it. Oh, I got something to say. Oh, I bet you do. Joe Rogan's on like 700 episodes or whatever, and
yeah. And guess what? People knew who Joe Rogan was before the podcast.
Yeah, he was a comedian. He was on the Man Show. He had you can't just be like, well. Okay.
That was huge for us. I mean, we were needing a receiver at the time, and we were also needing we needed a very good player like Emmanuel, but we also needed a person like Emmanuel. We had Debo out there, was coming on strong as a rookie. We had Bourne in his second year or third year player. And we wanted to get some type of vet in there, and to have a vet available like Emmanuel, he came and helped us huge from a talent standpoint. I mean, I think it would have been very hard to get to the Super Bowl if we didn't make that move. And I'm forever grateful to Emmanuel for that.
Welcome back to the program. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle. That is Kyle Shanahan saying they wouldn't have made it to the Super Bowl without trading for Emmanuel Sanders last year. Packers.
Shade. That was shade is what that was.
That was, hey, you guys did nothing, and we got you game. Packers, on the other hand, didn't do anything. I was watching today, guys. By the way, Marcus Paff alongside Mike Wickett as well, and this is the Bill Michaels Huddle brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer. I was watching today all the national takes and all the trades that have gone down and all the teams that have made upgrades. And you talk about the Steelers, the Seattle Seahawks, you've got the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, you go through the list, the Ravens, everybody, Tampa Bay, everybody's making a move of some type to try to either fill a hole or bolster a weakness. And then came the Green Bay Packers analysis. So I thought, okay, I'll turn this up. I'll listen intently. And it was interesting because they said there's 1 or 2 reasons you don't make a move. Because at the end of the day, if you make a move and you're hoisting the trophy, you worry about next year. Right now, you're talking about a team who's in the top 3 in the NFC and has some real capability of getting to a Super Bowl. And they said you're doing 1 or 2 things. Either one, you have that pick in Jordan Love, and you need to support him with everything you've got in a couple of years, and you're going to try to trim the fat and get all the defense around him you possibly can to support his first couple of years in the league to prove that you're the smartest guy in the room for taking Jordan Love, or you just don't think the Packers are a Super Bowl contender. Do you believe either of that? Let's start with Mike.
Oh, Man, I should have been on beer 3 and not beer 2. Listen, if they're loading up for defense for Jordan Love 2 years from now, where's that at? I don't see.
Well, the thought is that, some of this, like Bakhtiari, they won't pay. Aaron Jones, they won't pay. So you start going on the cheap. You just try to build through the draft. You try to bolster your defense, and you're setting yourself up for life after Rodgers.
I always chuckle at people who look at the statistic of Aaron Rodgers has thrown, one touchdown to a first-round pick or whatever that statistic was, and how he doesn't get a skill player. And the one year they finally take a skill player, it's for his replacement. And I always think, you guys, that's a bunch of malarkey. Like, who really, he doesn't really get upset about that stuff. And then the trade deadline, he's got no weapon outside of Devontae, who might be the best wide receiver in football or a top 5 or whatever. And after that, he has a bunch of guys. And while I don't think a second-round pick was the right move to bring in Will Fuller, I just feel like Aaron's got to be sitting there thinking, What you want me to throw to Malik Shepard? You want me to throw to Jake Kumaro? You want me to throw to Marcus Paff? Marcus, you got some life left in those knees, right?
No, I don't, Mike. But I'm probably on par with the guys that they have out there right now.
So you got to be sitting there if you're Aaron, like, dude, or even if you're Aaron, you're like, okay, you didn't get me Will Fuller, you didn't get me this, you didn't get me a weapon. Could you at least help out my guys on the other side and get me the football 2 more times in a football game? If I'm Aaron, I got to be frustrated by that.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the draft. Just to jump in, Bill, I think it goes back to the frustration with the draft and not taking a wideout at that point. That's the time that you had to address that particular situation. And then you get to now, and I have to wonder how much does the situation that we're in, not just in the sporting community, but in the world right now, play into the thought process with this, where you're saying we could trade an asset for the future for a guy that's going to come in, and just theoretically with Will Fuller, we'd all be looking at him potentially as a rental. I've seen some people that say, well, maybe you could work on an extension. Okay, maybe that's the case. But if you bring in a short-term guy here for future assets, and we don't even necessarily know how this season is ultimately going to shake out, I just wonder if there's any trepidation there with that right now, because it's been an awkward year. To this point, we've been very fortunate that we've had football week in and week out, and we're all excited about that. But we've seen some of the ugliness of it here of late too, with some guys out, and maybe there's a hesitancy to say there's just too much uncertainty right now to risk it when the future feels more like a sure thing.
So listen to what Aaron Rodgers say. And Sam, I know you got it right there. Listen to what Aaron Rodgers said after the game. He was asked about the team trading and getting somebody else and trying to help him out. And so this is what he had to say after you talk about throwing shade, after the game on Sunday when he was asked about getting additional help.
It's not a bad question, but it's not one that I can answer. We've had many conversations about this type of thing over the years, and I, truly understand my role. I'm not going to stomp for anybody. Last time I stomped for a player, he ended up going to Buffalo. So I like the guys that we have. We need more production.
There you go. So he said, last time I might stump for a guy, he ended up in Buffalo. If that's not a shot, I don't know what is.
That is, God. Again, I don't want to buy into the Aaron's mad at the organization line, but every time he talks, whether it was after the draft or, that hour and a half or a half hour, whatever it was, before the season began, you just keep getting the feeling more and more that the organization either doesn't ask, and not that he's the quarterback, he's not the assistant GM. They don't ask, they don't care. They just don't want to do anything to help one of the great quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League, who's still on top of his game, get back to the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, they let Russ cook. They got him DK Metcalf, and the Seahawks look like their offense is fantastic. Tom Brady's like, you know what? I want Gronk. All right, cool. I want Leonard Fournette. All right, cool. I want Antonio Brown. All right, cool. Like the Buccaneers are listening to their quarterback, and Antonio Brown was a Tom Brady move. Bruce Arians and Antonio Brown, their histories with women are the polar opposite. I'm a little disappointed in Arians and what he has done for women in the National Football League to bring in Antonio Brown. But Marcus, Antonio Brown can ball. And if you can win, we know this, if you can win, you can catch the ball, you get to the end zone, a lot can be forgiven.
Yeah, Tampa Bay knows there's a shelf life on Tom Brady, obviously, even though he doesn't seem to show that at any point
What
in his
is that
career.
shelf life, Marcus?
It might be like a Twinkie. Maybe in 20 years, we're still talking about Tom Brady under center. I don't know. But yeah, look, they're playing for the here and now. And that's not something that the Green Bay Packers have done, not just in recent memory, but guys, almost in distant memory right now. I think for Packer fans, Brett Favre's tenure comes into their thinking on all of this. You got one Super Bowl with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Brett, and now you have one with Aaron Rodgers. And I know we've heard this argument over and over again, 2 Super Bowls with these 2 great guys, and I'm sure some people are tired of hearing it, but it's the truth. You've won 2 Super Bowls with elite quarterback play for 3 decades, and there comes a point where you say, it is time to win now. We're appreciative of the longevity, the success year in and year out. And I know, look, there's a lot of organizations that would love to be in the playoffs every year, but the Packers are the Packers for a reason. They're held to a different standard. And yeah, I hear that clip, Bill, with Aaron, and it's not just a shot, but there's just a lot of exasperation there where you're saying, I've been down this road times.
Let's do this real quick. We got some breaking news. The left tackle of the 49ers, Trent Williams, wide receivers Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, placed on the COVID list as close contacts to Bourne, who also went on the COVID list. They are out for tomorrow's game against the Packers.
No Ayuk? Who's catching? Are they bringing back John Taylor? Is Jerry Rice going to suit back up?
They got nobody, man. Holy moly.
I mean, fire up Ross Dwelly in your fantasy league.
Holy moly.
That's brutal, Marcus.
Yep. So breaking news, Trent Williams, their big left tackle, Brandon Ayuk, their wide receiver, Deebo Samuel as well, all placed on the COVID list as close contacts, according to sources.
See, now here's the Bill. Are we against a break, Bill, or can I bring something up?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Okay. We'll come right back. We're talking with Marcus Paff, Mike Wick. It's spirited tonight. We got a lot more. The Bill Michaels Huddle brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer next.
Wisconsin-wide, the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network.
People are going to get fool's gold if the Packers, and I'll bring this up, if their defense looks great, I can just hear the narrative. Oh, they're fine. Everything's fixed. Where they don't have a left tackle, they're down to their 4th string rookie running back. They have no receivers. Nick Mullins is playing quarterback, and they have and Kittle's out. Like,
well, what if they get torched? Then now that's a fun day on Friday.
We start drinking even more. Look, I drank a lot on Monday because have you ever played in a guillotine fantasy league?
No, I haven't, but I'm not like 9 fantasy leagues guy.
Guillotine league is when you're out, like you play against everybody and the low man is out. The low score is out every week for your season's over.
Sure.
Your roster becomes free agents. And so the deeper you get into the league, the better the group of free agents becomes. I needed 9 points out of Ronald Jones. I got 8.5. I drank normally I cut myself off at 8:30 because if the babies wake up at 5, I don't want to, have that 4th beer, 5th beer. I sat there on Monday night just because he fumbled early.
Yeah.
He got 1 series after the opening drive. They kept giving the ball to Fournette. I lost by 0.5 point, and I had just added Michael Thomas and Deshaun Watson to my team. So I drank a lot.
How many teams are left?
9.
9. Okay.
9. So like my team of Galladay and Deshaun Watson and Joe Mixon and Todd Gurley, like I had a good roster. Gone. So I drank a lot Monday. Last night, election night, I was up till 11:30 drinking. Like normally that's never a thing I do, but it was the election.
I know you're the same guy, Mike. Feels like we've
just added 3 kids.
Yeah. You added 3 children, but it's still like talking to you in 08.
But so if the Packers lose tomorrow, to this skeleton squad. Oh my God.
Yeah, I can't foresee that happening at this point with where they're at. I know the Packers are down, but you still have a wideout and a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, both teams don't have their left tackle. Jesus Christ.
Nick Mullins, baby.
Are you going to be? Did you give Graham Mertz COVID? Did you? I don't think that's your game.
If I did, I'm never coming back in state again.
My God.
They're going to end up and get 1 year out of him because of this world situation.
You think so?
All right, come back here in about 10 seconds.
Okay.
I don't want to cut you guys off like last because I got to play these bumpers off my computer.
You're fine.
No, you're good. You're good.
Fine.
Right. Thanks.
I thought the breaking news was going to be about the election. He's like, left.
It's not a bad question, but it's not one that I can answer. We've had many conversations about this type of thing over the years, and I, truly understand my role. I'm not going to stomp for anybody. Last time I stomped for a player, he ended up going to Buffalo. So I like the guys that we have. We need more production.
Those are the words of Aaron Rodgers. Welcome back. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light Seltzer. Unquestionably good cranberry, grapefruit, pineapple, and strawberry flavors. BudLight.com, that's the website. Marcus Paff alongside Mike Wickett here as well. The breaking news coming out of San Francisco. Left tackle Trent Williams and wide receivers Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel all placed on the reserve COVID list as they had close contact with Bourne, the wide receiver, who is out due to COVID. They are out as well now for tomorrow's game against the Packers. We were talking about this matchup and about this team, and Marcus, we stopped you in the middle of a conversation to go to break real quick, so I want to let you finish where your thought was going.
We were trying to actually. What's funny, Bill, is Marcus and I chatted about this during the commercial break, so we got a chance to get our thoughts together. If they win this football game, and if the Packers win this game convincingly, Marcus, do you feel any better about Green Bay, about beating no Deebo, no Ayuk, no Raheem Mostert, no Kittle, no Garoppolo? Do you feel good about this win?
Go through the list, yeah.
This is the Badgers taking on Cal Poly week 2 right here, where you're going, all right, I guess it's a tune-up. I don't really know what you stand to gain from this. You come away with a big win, assuming that even happens for the Packers, because we know they're depleted as well. So there's a chance this could go another way. Hopefully not, but no, you're right. I mean, you go into this game, and if you win big, okay, that you had your stud quarterback, and San Francisco was playing with Nick Mullins and a bunch of no-namers, and you had Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and some no-namers, so you should win that matchup. But if you get beat, oh boy,
Bill, you're gonna have a late night.
Bill will have a fun night, fun Friday.
Yeah, if they get beat, Mike, you're not going to be the only one drinking.
No, I know, and I know you're not a huge drinker, Bill, but I feel like it'll be the night for you to join us.
Friday will be just best. We'll do the top 5 remedies to cure a hangover. That'll be our topic on Friday.
I'm looking at their depth chart. I mean, do you know who they're going to throw? Who Nick Mullins? Which again, Nick Mullins is going to throw balls to. They just released Dante Pettis, which would be an interesting look for Green Bay to take.
Got picked up by the Giants.
Oh, no, I missed that one. Trent Taylor and Richie James. That's like that's like the opening scene in Major League. Let's like Mitchell Friedman is catching balls from Nick Mullins.
Well, there's Charlie Warner, who is the 6th round draft choice to tight end. Ross Dwelly, you had mentioned.
Yeah.
Richie James, Trent Taylor. That's your group back there. Tevin Coleman, your running back out of the backfield.
And Tevin Coleman's hurt.
Yeah, Tevin Coleman's nicked up. As a matter of fact, I was going through the list of injuries, and Tevin Coleman, the running back, he is listed as out. He's got that knee injury, and he is out for this game.
Fire up Jermichael Hasty.
By the way, Richie James, the wide receiver, is questionable for this game. He's got a bad ankle.
Of course, yeah, of course. I'm sure his ankle has COVID. Like, my God, this is just. I mean, and again, if you win, okay, so what? Like when you looked at the schedule, this was the marquee game of the first half.
Right?
You're like, this is it. Thursday night. Even
should
though
they
it's
call this game, should they cancel this game or at least postpone this game till say Monday night?
I see. Selfishly, I love Thursday night football, and as a selfish Packers fan, no, because the Packers' best opportunity is to play when all of these guys can't play. But from a responsible, football fan standpoint, Marcus, I feel like the NFL should step in and say no, but I think we're too late, right? Like we're too late.
Well,
the Packers are already there.
Yeah, I left earlier today. I mean, I'm kind of blown that they haven't stepped in, especially after you had to shut down the Niners facility and given all the injuries that they have. Is it a responsible decision? No, it doesn't feel that way. But to echo Mike there, Bill, I do think that if from a Packers standpoint, you'd be happy to go out there tomorrow night and knock on wood, come away with a victory. Because if you give this more time, that benefits the Niners more than it does the Packers.
Because you could give both teams till Monday night to play
Tuesday night. We've done Tuesday night football.
Yeah, but you could give them till Monday night, let them turn it around, and then be playing again on Sunday, and that's a reasonable ask for both teams to kind of get it together, retest everybody, and make sure everybody's clear, that type of thing. But yeah, this is almost comical. I mean, this could be where you walk out of the tunnel if you're the Packers and you're looking over there, and there's a bunch of fat guys like tucking in their beer shirts, going, we're 49ers now. Wild. We got another hour yet to go. That hour flew by. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle. It's brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer, Unquestionably Good. Marcus Paff, Mike Wickett. I'm Bill Michaels. Another hour yet to happen. Coming up next.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Cool.
Give you like 1 second.
Disconnect, reconnect?
Yeah.
Okay.
Real quick. You guys will be come back at 6 after, right?
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
Well, I don't want Joe on that side. Where did Marcus go? He'll turn his screen back. There we go.
Hi.
Just need to make sure because you've seen what our setup is here, right?
No, I have not. I did the show with you once, but I don't know. Oh, are you? I see. You're using your phone to stream on what?
This is never going to work with that with the digital camera or the virtual background. Just go to your Twitter account real quick, and that's what we've got going on. Oh, it is. Why is it so warm in my home?
Okay.
That's what we got going on.
Nice. Oh, I tried to put a background up. It didn't work. It worked in my face. Let's see if I can find the sweet spot here. No, just my shirt. Do you have a green screen up?
If you go in Zoom,
yeah.
If you go to where that stop video, start video thing is, that little arrow.
Okay.
You can go to choose virtual background and upload something to the background.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm using
right now,
the virtual.
You are your body is a tropical breeze right now.
I know. I see that. I'm using the pre-selected ones, but I also say I have a green screen, so I guess I should turn that.
Yeah,
off.
turn that off. Oh, there you go. Now you're deep in the greens.
Sort of.
You're in the weeds.
Yeah.
Oh, see, there you go. You can upload your own photo too.
For lack of having one, I'll stay in space for now. Maybe I'll find something here.
You get back to Wisconsin often to see your family?
Yeah, typically I would be back a few times a year.
Yeah, duh. Yeah.
But yeah, this has been, my parents are going to try to come out here for Christmas. And I don't know. I don't know whether we'll see how if they make it or not, but
we were in conversation to have mine come to Iowa, and it's just, my parents are really taking COVID seriously. My dad smoked for like 100 years, so his lungs are shot.
Yep. No, I get it. My parents have surprisingly been good about it so far, like taking it seriously too. I think they have cabin fever. How's that?
Look at that. See, now that's what I'm talking about. Being at Rosie's. That's it right there. Now we're talking.
If only it didn't flip on me.
Is it you can mirror that, I think. I think there's a mirror a mirror setting or something. My sister still hasn't met the twins.
Oh, yeah.
Because she has two boys who are now, she just texted me, they're now going back to all virtual in Michigan because it's going the wrong way,
for school.
It's spiking and going the wrong way. And
yep.
They hit the threshold where they have to have everybody do virtual. So she's super excited about that. And then she works at a school. So it's like she wears a huge face mask and then a mask over that. Like it sucks, man. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel for the people that have to do that for 8 to 12 hours a day, wherever they work. It sucks, but
I don't really notice the virus because I quarantined before it was cool, before the kids were born, so I wouldn't be outside anyway. I don't know what you people are complaining about. I mean, God, I don't leave my house ever unless I go to Costco.
Yeah, well, I'm fortunate too because I do all my work from home nowadays on my laptop. So I'm outside most of the time here, like of late. So
it looks like you're just at Rosie's all the time. I mean, it just looks like
I'm breaking all the rules.
It's closed, right? Didn't Rosie's shut down?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I don't know if they changed names or maybe Sam knows. Sam, if Rosie's is going on Water Street?
Not paying attention to us.
No.
Sam, good talk, man. Good talk.
I don't know. I don't know who would know, but I'm pretty sure you're right. I think it's gone.
Yeah, I don't, because we were going to get back. We were going to bring the kids to Milwaukee this summer. We were going to go see my family in Detroit this summer. And all of it is just gone. But not anymore. Now you're useless.
I was working on the other computer over on the other side of our station, just we have to do like the FTP for all of.
Oh yeah, you're good, man. You're good. Do you know if Rosie's on Water Street is closed? Is that gone?
I would assume so because I've never even heard of that bar.
No. Mike, how do you feel there? Yeah.
Oh no, one of our guys just said it's still open.
It is?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh.
Who just said that? Who's your reliable source?
One of our other producers named Austin.
You've never
heard? Steve wouldn't know.
Sam, how old are you?
I'm 24.
What's up, Mike?
You're 24?
Yeah.
You've never heard of Rosie's?
No, I mainly go to like 3rd Street and all that, and 3rd Ward and all that. I don't go to Water Street much, honestly.
That's a good time. I don't think Water Street is what it once was either, Mike.
No.
We tried to burn it to the ground a lot. So,
My sister and I, like, I used to work in bars and all that before I officially got like hired on here, just bar backing and all that. And that was like most of the bars that, Loaded Slate, Uglies, all those ones.
Yeah.
Uglies?
Yeah, now it's Uncle Buck's.
Yeah, don't know what Uglies used to be, so I wouldn't have a clue. What is Ugly? Did I know Uglies
It's
Pub?
literally the one like right next to Loaded Slate.
Is Buckhead still around? That was.
Ooh, that place was
I'm
something.
not sure about that.
It was, yeah. It was a good time.
You don't know Buckhead?
In 49 other states, football is just a game. But this is Wisconsin.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl. The Lombardi Trophy is coming home.
Wisconsin fans demand the best. The best analysis, the best interviews, the best coverage, and no one delivers like the Bill Michaels Huddle.
Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Huddle as we continue on. It's brought to you by our friends at Bud Light Seltzer. Only 100 calories, 5-step filtration process that ensures a cleaner finish and no lingering aftertaste, coming in flavors of pineapple, strawberry, cranberry, and grapefruit. Go to budlight.com. Mike Wickett alongside Marcus Paff here tonight as well. And if you're just tuning us in, there have been some additional players from San Francisco put on the COVID list. Left tackle Trent Williams will not be playing, along with wide receivers Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel as well, placed on the reserve COVID list as they have close contact with the wide receiver Bourne, who was also placed on the COVID list, and therefore they are out for tomorrow night's contest against the Green Bay Packers. Guys, Mike, I'll start with you. Where do the Packers fall in the NFC right now, do you think?
They're God, this just keeps – it's such a week-to-week league, Bill. Like, because a couple of weeks ago when the Buccaneers lost to the Bears, I thought, well, the Buccaneers don't belong in the conversation. And then the Bears, at one point were 5-1, and we're like, do we have to take them seriously? I think the Buccaneers are the best team in the NFC. After that, everybody has a lot of questions. I mean – Seattle can't stop any. How does Carlos Dunlap help? How does Jamal Adams help when he comes back? Green Bay can't stop anybody on the ground, so you know that knocks them down a peg. I'd say they're in that second tier, but I think that second tier includes a lot of teams. Nobody in the NFC East. I think the Saints are going to be even more for real when they get Michael Thomas back. I'm not buying into Arizona. I don't think they're for real. So I think they're in that second tier, but there's not a ton of teams I would put ahead of them in the NFC.
By the way,
who's the first tier then, Mike? Like just Tampa?
Go ahead.
I think can you have one tier or one team be in a tier? I mean, is it just Tampa? I guess you got to put Seattle there, right? Tampa and Seattle, I think, would be in my top two. It would be the top two teams in the NFC, just because of the season Russ is having. How dangerous that offense is with Lockett and DK Metcalf. I mean, DK Metcalf, he's got that Randy Moss feel. Like he's just a freak over everybody else. He has a physical advantage. He's got the blazing speed. I mean, you saw when he catches the ball and starts running away from guys, nobody catches him. I don't know if they can play any defense yet. And I was listening to Colin Cowherd the other day, and he's talking about how they are just a play away from being undefeated. Well, yeah, they're also an Alexander Madison 2 steps to the right on the goal line from having a couple of losses, and we look at them a lot different. So I'd have Tampa and Seattle in that top group and then Green Bay right there. It doesn't mean Green Bay can't get there, but that's where I would put them, Marcus.
Marcus, where do you think the Packers belong in the tier, if you want to call it that, or maybe even your top 3 to 5 or what happened? The teams that actually feel as if they could make it to a Super Bowl in the NFC.
Yeah, well, it's one of those.
Do you think about the Rams? Do you think about the Cardinals? I agree with Mike. I don't think anybody from the NFC East, and I think Chicago's a paper tiger. But there's Tampa Bay, there's New Orleans. I think those 2 teams are viable as well.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Bill. That's how I kind of look at this too. It is one of those seasons, and you could probably say this every year in the NFL. The longer we go, the less we actually know, because inevitably there are bumps in the road with these teams. And maybe this is why, to go back to our conversation about the trade deadline, maybe this is why Brian Gutekunst felt like, now we're fine. We're in the thick of this because, yeah, I look at Tampa Bay and New Orleans. I look at Seattle. I am probably a little bit higher on Arizona than Mike is, but still would consider the Packers to be a better team than them at this point. So you've got sort of this cluster of 3-4 teams. The Packers are right there. And you saw for a quarter at Tampa Bay where Green Bay looked like they were going to run away with the thing. And I know that it turned out to be an absolute debacle and a forgettable game, but I think with some adjustments, they're very capable of going and playing against a Tom Brady-led Buccaneers team.
If they played Tampa 5 times, how many do you think they win, Marcus?
I'd probably say 2, but that tells me they're capable. In 5, 2 out of 5 is not 1 out of 5, not 9 out of 5. Look, I realize I'm making an obvious statement, but the point is, if you get to the postseason and you were up against Tampa Bay, I feel like they go into that game with a very legitimate shot to come away with a victory. And maybe, again, I'm echoing myself, repeating myself, but maybe that's why you don't make a move right now, because of the uncertainty and because of the fact you're in that mix.
I'll say this, Mike. I feel better about them going up against Tampa Bay because I saw them move their offense, even though Tampa Bay made adjustments, and then obviously the 2 picks swung the game. I saw their offense operate, whereas go back to last year against San Francisco, their offense never operated. They were never in those games. They never had a shot. So I felt that they had a command at one point of that game early on, and their own ineptitude, some of the plays, obviously locking on Devontae Adams, him coming back and throwing the 2 picks and the pick 6, that changed the momentum of the game. And then I saw this reversion back to almost this Mike McCarthy-esque offense, where Aaron Rodgers suddenly was looking for Devontae, patting the ball, running with the ball, no motion, out of the huddle slowly. Time of possession became really flipped. They were out of their rhythm. They didn't have anything going on, and it almost looked as if, I want to say, they panicked. Whereas last year against San Francisco, they had no shot.
Well, in that Tampa game, it was interesting. I think when we look at some of these statistics and Pro Football Focus and these analytics and whatnot, it's such a thing we didn't do growing up, but now we do. The Packers were using motion on 56% of their plays going into that Tampa game. Now, the game script changed, we know that, but in that game, they used motion on 35% of the plays. Right. I don't know how much motion matters when you're down 38-10, but the lack of motion really bothered me. And it wasn't like Tampa in that first half played spectacular on offense. The pick 6, obviously, bad play by Aaron. The next play, forcing it to Devontae. They set Tom Brady up at the 2. Then it was, we're going to let Tom Brady pick us apart. We're only going to rush 3 inside the 20 on Tom Brady, and that was the Tyler Johnson touchdown on Josh Jackson in the back in the back of the end zone. Which, and again, that's another head scratcher on Mike Pettin. Like, the way to beat Tom Brady is to get him off his mark. He's immobile. Rush the ancient quarterback. They didn't do that. Like, that made no sense to me. So I agree with the both of you. I think they can hang with Tampa. Can they hang with Tampa with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Gronk, who's looking like the old Gronk, and also the Fournette, Rojo backfield? That's a different story.
Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll talk a lot more about this matchup. We'll talk more about this Green Bay Packers team, the NFC, the NFL in general. We'll start to make our picks after the bottom of the hour. Stay tuned. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle. It's brought to you by our friends at Bud Light Seltzer. Unquestionably good. Marcus Paff, Mike Wickett. I'm Bill Michaels. Back after this.
Border to Border, the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network.
Cool.
All right.
All right, we'll go get beer 3. And then I'm it. That's it. I don't have any beers left.
You're out?
Again, the last 2. First of all, I don't leave the house.
You live within walking distance of anything? Or are you in like a suburb?
Oh, man, this is the suburbiest. of suburbs. Are
you in Des Moines or where are you? Even?
West Des Moines.
Okay.
It's the high school is the biggest one in the state. It's an affluent suburb, if I were to put it that way. We don't live in the affluent parts of the affluent suburb. We live in the older part of the affluent suburb, which means we're still middle class.
Sure.
But yeah, it's. I mean, the only thing we're missing is an IKEA. So we got Applebee's and every chain, and there's 3 Targets in my city. So,
all right.
Yeah. So no
IKEA. That's interesting.
You have to go to Kansas City. You got to go to Kansas City to go to the nearest IKEA.
How far away is that?
3 hours, door to door from where I used to live. Yeah, 3 hours. The big city. It's where Lee used to go school shopping when she was a kid.
Really? I'll let you get your beer. And then
I'll be right back.
Follow up.
All right, Mike, just heads up. Mike's going on.
Cook again, up the middle, big hole. Dalvin Cook is going to score. Touchdown, Minnesota.
You know, when you have more hats to the ball, it's less missed tackles. It's a lot harder to tackle when, you know, it's one-on-one in the open field. Going into film, you know, I would see more of where, you know, where we can avoid being in those one-on-one situations.
Those are the words of Adrian Amos talking about the poor tackling on this team. Welcome back. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle presented by Bud Light Seltzer. Unquestionably good. Marcus Paff here. Mike Wickett is here. The Green Bay Packers defense missed 11 tackles on Sunday in the loss to the Vikings. They have had 63 missed tackles in the past 7 games. You got Chris Barnes with a bad shoulder. You've got Christian Kirksey is out. You've got Kamal Martin on the COVID list. Mike Pettin trying to figure out how to get this team better, other than just scheme, because I still think the secondary is pretty good. Adrian Amos talking about making, you know, better angles and all the little things that you can possibly do. Let me start with you, Mike. You know, defensively, we talked about this in the first hour, but if you're the coordinator, what do you do? Because right now, other than you've got Kenny Clark, you've got your guys up front, Preston Smith, who looks to be not nearly as aggressive.
Is he still on the roster, Bill? Is Preston Smith still on the roster?
Well, he's on the roster and a milk carton.
Okay.
But I watched him a couple of times try to set the edge against Dalvin Cook. Didn't get on the inside at all, and almost as if he was just standing there. It just not as engaged as maybe he was last year. I don't know what if you're going to do something or anything, because you kept the roster the same. If you're Gutekunst, what is it?
the exact opposite of whatever you're doing right now. No, I mean, there's just, and I agree 100% about Preston Smith. And look, Zadarius Smith is a great defensive player. He's not having a great year. Kenny Clark is a real good, dare I say, great defensive player. He's not having a great year. Preston Smith was good last year. I feel the same way you do, Bill. It's like the ball gets snapped, and he just sort of stands there and waits to react before trying to wreak any havoc, which we saw more from his role a year ago. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that this team doesn't tackle. They don't scheme to put their players in the best situations. I like their secondary. You know, we just heard from Adrian Amos. He made the big play against, was it Calvin Ridley on Monday Night Football, you know, on a couple of weeks ago. You know that Jair Alexander is really good. I like Shandon Sullivan. I think he's got, especially from where how they obtained Shandon Sullivan. Kevin King remains a mystery. And Marcus, he's out for this one. He's injured. He's out, I believe, for this one. And Kevin King is the most divisive player on the Green Bay Packers. If you look at any game and Kevin King makes a play or doesn't make a play, your Facebook is split. So I don't know how you feel, but I just don't think, Marcus, that you can do a whole lot. It's like you can't cook a different meal if you don't have new ingredients.
Well, and part of, we all know this, what comes back to it for Kevin King is who the Packers passed up on that night in the draft. TJ Watt has gone on to have a pretty good start to his career, and I would imagine he's probably going to have a pretty good remainder of his career as well. But yeah, he's an anomaly. I'm an enigma. I don't know week in and week out what I'm getting out of him. I don't know week in, week out if he's going to be healthy, although fortunately he's been a little bit better in that regard of late. You know, to Bill's question, what do you do? I think Mike Pettin's asking himself that, and he's asking himself that in the second half of games right now, going, that didn't work. This personnel package didn't work. I'm left with this. Let's try bringing Darnell Savage off the left edge, or just it feels like you're throwing darts at the wall right now. I realize it's not that bad. Mike Pettin undoubtedly is a lot more organized than that, but it's just you can only play with the personnel that you have. Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith were brought in to be difference makers last year in this defense. Last year they were. This year, as both of you have already pointed out, Preston Smith is not, and Zadarius Smith is not the same player that he was. And when you subtract the type of difference that they made a season ago from this current group, you're left with this.
You expected Rashawn Gary to get better and make more of an impact,
yes,
and he hasn't. And I think there's still time for him. Like, I don't throw Rashawn Gary out. And Bill, I watched Blake Martinez play on Monday night, and the guy is still the same player he was in Green Bay. Slow, but a tackling machine. I think they miss Blake Martinez just to be in the middle and to tackle.
Which I would completely agree. At least you were, the old adage was he was AJ Hawk. He was all downfield,
which is fine.
It's which is fine. But at least he would have caught Dalvin Cook at some point. You would figure, and still brought him down, and it kept him from going 51 yards,
or at least got in his way.
At least made him stumble, I guess might be the best way to put it. So, look, we talk so much about Brian Gutekunst and what he has not done. What he has done, you look at a guy like Elkin Jenkins. Jair Alexander is very good. We know that there's some talent both offensively and defensively, some guys that he has brought in. Every year I've always said at the end of Ted Thompson's tenure, if you're not getting Pro Bowlers, you're staying about the same. You're just transferring beef is all you're doing. It's interchangeable bits, as the late, great Paul Brown used to say. That's all you're doing. So you look at what he's got in that secondary. How good is the secondary of the Green Bay Packers? Let's start there. Marcus, I'll ask you, how good, if you're going to put these in some of the top 5, top 10 of the secondaries in the National Football League, where do you think these guys rank?
Well, I certainly think they could be a top third with the talent that they have back there. Now, that's all provided that Kevin King can play like the best version of himself, because we talked about how polarizing he is. When he's good, he's pretty damn good. And we know Jair Alexander is a talent. I think Darnell Savage was one of the picks that Brian Gutekunst obviously hit on. And Adrian Amos is a very good safety as well. So I put them in the top third. They can probably be even better than that if they had some help at some of these other positions. And look, Kenny Clark is stellar, but you're just not getting it out of the linebacking core right now, the way that you need to see. And let's be honest, like for all the good picks that Brian Gutekunst and Ted Thompson, for that matter, made, it is the misses that ultimately stand out. And that's what leads to this, to circle all the way back to the frustration with doing nothing at the deadline and saving your draft capital. That's what leads to all this frustration, because too many times we've seen it not pan out as well. So, they're both a coin toss to a certain extent.
We talk about Jair Alexander, Kevin King, bringing in Adrian Amos. Darnell Savage Jr., when he's healthy, has been aggressive, and I like the way he has played, Mike. I consider this secondary really good. That leaves you with up front. When you look at the likes of everybody says, well, Kenny Clark, he should be on the verge of being a Pro Bowler. I would tend to agree with that. I don't know if this year is going to qualify, but certainly in the past it has, which honestly got him the money. Then you look at Dean Lowry, Kingsley Keke, Tyler Lancaster, Montravius Adams. Is this just all a bunch? And the way it was described to me at Super Bowl was by a lot of different pundits was, you got a bunch of guys, bunch of dudes that are just there. They're not terrible. They're not great. They're just there. Is that the best way you could describe the front four of the Green Bay Packers?
It's just like the wide receiving core. You've got one special player in Devontae Adams. Like you have a special player, I think, in Zadarius Smith. And then you got a bunch of guys. You don't have anybody. I mean, maybe Kenny Clark is the Devontae Adams of this defensive line. And then a bunch of guys, a bunch of Malik Shepherds, a bunch of MVSs up there. I mean, Lowry made a play the other night. Okay, fine. They might make a couple of plays here and there. But they don't – I mean, again, it goes back to they acquired Preston Smith to be a difference maker. They acquired Christian Kirksey to be a difference maker. He's not the tackling machine that Blake Martinez is, but he's the athlete. He's going to track down that running back who's – headed towards the sideline before he can turn the edge. He's going to be able to hang with a tight end when we know Blake Martinez can't. I mean, those guys, those dudes you're talking about, Bill, up front, along with these linebackers, they would make Kevin King better. They would make Jair Alexander better. They would make Savage and Amos better if they could get a pass rush, if they could stuff the run, if they could do anything that would push the needle and push the offensive line. But they don't. Occasionally here and there you see Zadarius get in and he lifts up his shirt. I'm going to do that on the video here, Bill, so you can see my belly. Like you don't see any consistency out of it. And whether it's their want to, whether it's the scheme, I don't know, but it all, as we know, it all works together. There's no push up front, which means the secondary, even with having a special player like Jair, the secondary can get exposed.
How long have we been saying this too, Bill? I feel like, we could take this conversation that we're having right now and say that it came from 2015 or even, 2013, and it would be applicable where you're saying, all right, they've got a couple of
they got BJ Raji and that's it.
Yeah. And then there's a bunch of guys, right? I mean, I feel like we've been doing this year in and year out, and the Packers can't seem to find a way around that. And I'm making the same point over and over, but it ties back to the trade deadline and the frustration. It's like the Brewers in pitching for all those years. You always say, well, they can't develop their own guys. You better go out and acquire somebody on the trade market. And that's what it feels like here. Sure, you have one or two standouts here and there, but you need a few more guys than that if you want to put together a defense that's going to elevate this offense and take the team as a whole to another Super Bowl.
By the way, Adam Schefter reporting the game remains on track to be played per sources with the NFL. Thursday Night Football is a go, even if the 49ers wide receivers and the Packers running backs are not available.
Why are we playing this game? It's like Wisconsin infected Illinois a week and a half ago, and the Illini lost a dozen guys. Why are we playing this football game?
By the way, Trent Taylor, the lone wide receiver left for the 49ers on their active roster.
Oh, my God.
This is going to be like a wing T game here?
Right?
I guess. Yeah. Yep. Boy,
hey, that bodes well for San Francisco, though, because the Packers are soft up the middle. They don't need to throw the ball. Just plow down the gut.
Yeah, they're going to run a lot. I wouldn't even put safeties on the field at this point. Just put all linemen and a bunch of dudes.
Unfortunate, because that's where the Packers' strength lies too, is of course in the secondary.
Right, exactly. Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll start to look around the rest of the league and start making some picks. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Huddle brought to you by our friends at Bud Light Seltzer. Unquestionably good. Coming up after this.
16 stations strong. The Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network.
Meeting one last time here.
What? No, disconnect again?
Yeah, this will be the last time.
Got it.
All right, we just got about, wow, it's a long break. We had like damn near 3 minutes left here.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good.
I was going to see what happened to this betting line with all this stuff. I would take it off the board.
Packers?
If I were.
6 is the lightest line I saw.
Yeah.
Green Bay -6, which if everybody was healthy, you figured they'd be at least a 6-point dog.
Right.
Let me see.
I'm kind of surprised I would be surprised if they kept that up.
Why are they playing this damn game?
I don't know.
Because everybody's out of their bye weeks now, so
the Packers are -265. Oh my God,
man. Problem is if you come into this and then obviously it lingers, and now you've got two teams that affect the rest of the season.
Yeah, and they don't have room for it. Week 18 is happening.
Right.
Yeah, I hope you have a new. I hope you have a backup quarterback if you have Aaron Rodgers on your team. God, wouldn't that be fitting?
Oh boy.
Guy I had on today on my podcast. He speculated that the Niners might just be done with Garoppolo after tonight or after this year.
Well, I mean, you constantly hear like, would New England bring him back?
I mean, he just doesn't. He's not special.
No, he's not. He's not the guy that they hoped he would be when they traded for him. Clearly,
and they're paying him a ton of money.
But that's the position.
You think the 49ers take on Matt Ryan?
I mean, if you think
Shanahan
defense is still elite, I mean, why not?
If you get rid of Jimmy G, because I think Ryan's only due $30 million, they'd only take on $5 million.
Yeah, that's
the other one I heard was Darnold going back to California.
Yeah,
because they're obviously going to they're going to tank for Trevor.
That's a bigger roll of the dice though with Darnold. It's like, okay, we know he has talent, but he's never actually performed in the NFL at a high level. Whereas Ryan, like, okay, it's there. And if you've got the defense, that's probably the route I'd go.
Darnold's cheaper.
Yeah, he's cheaper. And if you can turn him around, then you've got a guy for a long time. Justin Fields intrigues me. Like
at Ohio State?
Nobody talked about him until this past offseason, and now suddenly he's right there with Trevor Lawrence in some people's minds, and they're talking him up like he could be even better at the next level. I don't know, maybe he will, but it just feels like
I hate Ohio
Coming
State.
Back right after this.
Do you, Mike?
I hate how they're great all the time. I want Ryan Day to catch COVID. No, I really don't, but
Coach, Pro Football Focus had you for 11 missed tackles in the game, 63 in 7 games this season. Can you get a handle on this and correct it, or are you just what you are?
No, I would never say you're just what you are. I mean, it's something that even when we're not in pads, I mean, we always try to find a way to incorporate into our individual drills, each coach. Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's difficult, but we all go through it, and if we want to be successful, we certainly have to be better.
The questioner was Wayne Larry, the voice of the Green Bay Packers. The questionee was Mike Pettin. Packers missed 11 tackles on Sunday, 63 over the last 7 games.
I actually thought, Bill, they missed 63 on Sunday, so I'm glad that you can clarify those numbers.
The voice you hear, that's Mike Wickett, also Marcus Paff, as well as we are joined on the Bill Michaels Huddle tonight, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light Seltzer. Bud Light Seltzer, unquestionably good. Time now to get around to the rest of the National Football League. We'll start making some picks. You've got the Broncos that are on the road. Between these two teams, the Falcons hosting, by the way. Broncos, I don't know what to make of the Broncos. At one point, they look like they have life. The next point, they don't. They look just flat out bad. The Falcons, meanwhile, they have figured out new ways to lose, but they won 2 out of their last 3. Mike, I'll start with you. I'm going to take the Falcons, actually, in this game. I just think that they have more talent. It just hasn't shown to this point, and maybe they're starting to turn the corner and get a few wins under their belt. So I'll take the Falcons, Mike.
I'm going to go Broncos here. Their effort last week against the Chargers was impressive, and I think Drew Lock is good. I don't know if he's great, but I think he's good. He's got a lot of weapons. The Melvin Gordon and Phil Lindsay backfield is pretty impressive. I don't know if Calvin Ridley plays in this game. I don't know if we have an update on the Falcons wide receiver. But, Marcus, I'll go with the Broncos in the upset.
Yeah, I'm with Bill on this, and I'll probably get burned for like the 8th time this year because I think I've picked the Atlanta Falcons week in and week out with the same rationale of, well, they have too much talent to continue to be this bad. And it comes back and bites me. But Bill, to your point, it looks like maybe they're finally turning the corner, playing at home. Although it's a little bit different than it has been in years past with no fans. Nonetheless, I will.
They haven't won a game at home. They're 0-4 at home.
Look,
that is a goofy stat, absolutely.
Yeah, there's not a lot of logic to picking Atlanta anymore, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Beautiful stadium, though. Love that place.
Sure.
Stadium is absolutely fantastic. Hey, you got the 6-1 Seahawks going from the top of the country to the other side of the country to where Buffalo resides to take on the 6-2 Bills. As much as I want to say Russell Wilson's going to be the man, the weather, by the way, is not going to be bad in Buffalo. So it's not like the weather's going to play a factor in this. But I'm going to take the Bills at home. I think the Bills got a lot of juice, even though it's a bad Patriots team. The Bills finally got that monkey off their back. They're feeling it right now. I'm going to go with the Bills at home on this one, Mike.
I like the Bills as well. You can throw all day, even when they add Carlos Dunlap or whatever. You can throw all day on Seattle. Josh Allen he hasn't been great since the first couple of weeks of the season. I think they bounced back. Plus, Zach Moss is starting to take over that starting job from Devin Singletary. So I will take Buffalo at home because, Marcus, aren't you supposed to take the team that's on the East Coast when the West Coast team travels and plays the early game?
You are, and both of you have almost swayed me to jumping on the Buffalo bandwagon. Almost. But I made this pick earlier today as well with some friends, and I'm going to stick with it. Seattle, look, you've got the MVP candidate. We obviously with Russell Wilson, and the Bills have just been up and down. I still can't tell if they're like the worst good team in the league right now, or what they're actually capable of. So, given the uncertainty and the history of the Seahawks as a very good team, I will take them going out east.
Then you got the Colts. They are hosting the Ravens. By the way, the Ravens are working out Tremont Williams because they've had some injuries in their secondary. So Tremont Williams working out for the Ravens today. But the Colts have been, even though Phillip Rivers has not been the most impressive when it comes to arm strength of a quarterback, they've figured out ways to win. And I never have been a huge Lamar Jackson fan. He continues to do it with his feet, but he doesn't do it with the arm consistently. I believe the Ravens' defense is pretty solid. I think the Colts playing at home. This is a good matchup. I'm going to take the Colts at home, believe it or not. Back to Marcus.
Yeah, I'm on board too. I actually taking the Colts in this one because of a lot of what you said. this year, after an MVP caliber season or an MVP season period last year from Lamar, we've seen some of the flaws exposed. It feels like defensive coordinators maybe catching up a little bit with how to game plan and scheme against him. So Indy, nothing flashy, nothing special, but I'll take them in this one.
I'll like Baltimore on the road. They are 3-0 on the road so far this year, and if they lose more ground to Pittsburgh in that division, that's going to be tough to overcome because the Steelers are going to be rolling. Lamar, word of advice, beware of the magical season. He's not having the year he had last year. He threw 4 picks last week against Pittsburgh, but I don't believe in Phil Rivers. That's a running back by committee. Jonathan Taylor's not healthy there in Indy. I like Baltimore on the road in a close one. Should be a good one to watch. This is why you like when the Packers play on Thursday, because Red Zone can fire up for games like this.
Well, you got the Seahawks and the Bills, obviously. The Ravens and the Colts are a good one. And then you got this absolute barn burner and a thriller between the 1-6 Texans and the 1-6 Jaguars. Something's got to give, for God's sake. I'm not really picking a team because I think they're going to win. I'm just picking it with my heart. I hope J.J. Watt just loses some of the frustration and they finally get a win. So I'm just going to pick the Texans on the road just because.
That press conference he had last week, I mean, that looked like I thought that was it. I thought that was the nail in the coffin, and JJ is going to be gone, and hopefully to Green Bay. Gardner Minshew's not starting. They're starting a rookie quarterback, which to me means that Whitney Merciless and JJ Watt are going to have big games. Look for the Texans to win this one big.
Mike, that was more analysis than anybody could possibly give for this.
Do you want me to break down more of the Texans and Jags?
Do you have more on the Jags? I'm taking Houston as well because much like Atlanta, at least for the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, I kept thinking they're going to break through, and you're going to see some of that talent with Deshaun Watson on display and offense and JJ Watt. Unfortunately, it feels like those are the only 2 guys that they have, and much like the Packers, bunch of other guys. So nonetheless, I think in Jacksonville, Houston wins this.
Got the Panthers on the road at 3-5, taking on the 7-1 Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are just the cream of the crop right now, and just because I'm taking the Chiefs, they're that good. Back to you, Marcus.
Yeah, I don't know how you can pick against Kansas City right now and Mahomes. They're the best team in the league, and I'm sure we'll continue to have conversations about whether or not they can be beat, and there'll be ups and there'll be downs the rest of the way. But end of the day, Kansas City's still the favorite to go back and win it all, top to bottom, the most talented roster, in my opinion. I'll take them.
The Raiders beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead, and they did it by running Josh Jacobs down the Chiefs' throat. Christian McCaffrey's back this week, should be back this week. So I think this game's close. I'll take the Chiefs, but I don't know what the point spread is, but I would gladly take Bridgewater, who doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
11.
Give me Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Teddy Two Gloves. Give me the Panthers plus the 11. That's a big number. When
big
you bring in
number in the NFL.
That's a huge number, Bill. I'll take the Panthers and the points, but I will take the Chiefs outright.
Yeah, the Panthers. Yeah, it's been bet down to 10.5, but yeah, that's a pretty sizable spread. That's, as a matter of fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is that the biggest spread? No, there's one that's bigger, and we'll get to that game. That's the second biggest spread of the week. Meanwhile, the Lions found out that Matthew Stafford has COVID. He is on the list. He will not be playing this weekend against the Minnesota Vikings. So the Lions on the road over at U.S. Bank Stadium. The Vikings coming off of the win over the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, Dalvin Cook healthy and feeling good. The Lions without Matthew Stafford, I don't think, are anywhere near the same team. I'm going to take the Vikings at home. Mike, back to you.
Quick, who's the backup quarterback?
Nobody knows.
David Blau is the backup quarterback, and right behind him is Chase Daniel, who has made a career out of being
I actually trust Chase Daniel more than I would take David Blau.
Well, Blau's 25 and might be part of the future. Chase Daniel's 34, so I don't know.
Don't forget they got Adrian Peterson, too, now.
That's a revenge factor. That's one of those kinds of things. But losing Stafford, Galladay's hip injury, he's probably not playing in this one. I mean, they're looking at adding Mohamed Sanu to their roster. So you have to take Dalvin Cook and the Vikings at home.
Yeah, Minnesota finally figured out that is the formula to win on offense for them, not putting it in Kirk Cousins' hands and letting your all-pro back carry the rock time and time again. And so I think they hopefully figured that out at Green Bay. Dalvin Cook continues to get fed the ball this week, and they run away with this one at home.
I guess the Lions, actually, Matthew Stafford is the, quote, close contact to someone who had COVID. So as of right now, he is out, but he could apparently, according to the NFL, I guess he could possibly play if he tests enough times negative. So we'll wait and see. Then you got the Bears and the Titans. This is a good one because you've got a defense that can stop the run in the Chicago Bears, and God knows the Titans can run the football. And the Bears, their offense stinks, and the Titans don't have a bad defense, even though they couldn't control Joe Burrow last week in Cincinnati. I think the Bears are going to take another loss. I think a lot of reality is starting to sink back in for Chicago. Titans are coming off an embarrassing loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. Marcus, I'm taking the Titans.
Yeah, I'm taking the Titans as well. I think coming off that loss, as you pointed out, they're ready to go. Mike Vrabel has them ready to go. Derrick Henry running downhill. And yes, while it is a stout Chicago defense, Henry's just he's a load to deal with, quarter in, quarter out, play in, play out. And at some point he breaks through, probably earlier than later in that game. And Tennessee ends up winning this one.
You can run on the Chicago Bears. It's tough to throw on the Chicago Bears. They have a great pass rush. They have Khalil Mack. They've got Roquan Smith. They have good corners. But you can run on that team. And that's bad news for the Bears. I don't know the health of their wide receiving core right now. They are going to continue to try to make David Montgomery a thing, even though he's not a thing.
No, their run offense is terrible.
And they don't have much of a pass rush either. They don't have much of a defensive front against a running back like Derrick Henry. So I would gladly take the Tennessee Titans. I think Tannehill has a decent day, but it's all about Henry and this running attack.
Let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break, come back, and make the picks for the remainder of the games in the NFL, including the Green Bay Packers coming up tomorrow night. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle, brought to you by Bud Light. Seltzer, unquestionably good. We'll be back after this.
Everywhere in Wisconsin, the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network.
Thank you.
What was that?
You said we're 3 minutes.
Oh.
Man, I don't know if I want to stay up watching more election coverage tonight. I don't know if I can do it again.
No, I can't. I haven't even done any to this point. This is the first time I haven't done it. Like, I'm usually watching wall to wall and just whatever, Yeah. But I've never been this worked up about a result. So,
I mean, I usually wear a Bluetooth in my ear when I have the kids in case someone calls or whatever, and sometimes I just listen to whatever because I have Disney Plus on. Uh-huh. We watch a lot of Moana and Frozen in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, but I had I had CNN in my ear just listening to results go, and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? And I couldn't stop listening to it.
It's painful. It's painful to sit there and play along because stuff inevitably swings back and forth.
Yeah.
In any election, every time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I woke up at 6:15 or so, and I grabbed my phone, and I always check my email because I want to see if I screwed anything up in Indiana with that small cluster that I do.
Do you record it the night before?
Yeah.
And send it? Is that what you do? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Basically 12 reports go out. And so they'll tell me, hey, this is wrong, or you got a bad edit here or whatever. So every morning I wake up paranoid, freaking out. And at the same time, it's like I look at my email and it's successful waiver claim, all for fantasy football. I'm like, oh, shoot, there was an election. And you look, and at 6 a.m. today, it was still doom and gloom for the Democrats. And I'm like, okay. And then by 7, it was like, well, he's, all of a sudden, you have to count Detroit when you include Michigan, and you have to include Milwaukee when you include Wisconsin, and you have to include Philadelphia when you do Pennsylvania. And so, like, the mood flipped, and I'm like, well, shoot, I got to listen to this. So I put on CNN downstairs. babies don't like CNN. They don't. So I was like, well, I have to pay attention to the election, so I just listened to CNN all day, and nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. We still don't have a president.
Masochistic, Mike.
I know.
Certainly, I do think that the juice, if you will, of our football team isn't where it needed to be. You mentioned that we've had fans the past 2 games, and then coming back into this environment, it is a little bit different. And you got to bring your own energy. And guys have got to dig deep sometimes to bring that out. And if you feel like somebody else doesn't have it, you got to bring them along with you. So we need to find the guys that are going to step up, be the leaders, be the people that are going to bring that positive energy to our football team, because if you don't have it, you just aren't going to be at your best.
There you go. That is Matt LaFleur saying the team needs to bring the energy. Now, can they do it on the West Coast? That's been problematic for Matt LaFleur's teams since taking over last season. Not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. They didn't have the energy when they went out to the West Coast. Welcome back. Final segment of the Bill Michaels Huddle, brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer and Questionably Good. Mike Wickett, Marcus Paff, both here. We get back to making the picks. So the remaining games, you got the 1-7 Giants, who actually played the other night with some heart against Tom Brady and company, but still came up with the losing end, taking on the 2-5 Washington football team. I'm just going to say, for blanks and giggles, I'm going to go with the Giants, even though they did take a loss, and even though they're the road team. They just showed me a little something, maybe a little spunk, maybe a little heart. Maybe that's all they had left in them. Who knows? But I'm going to take the Giants, Marcus.
We're on the same wavelength. I don't know. It's a little scary there, Bill. But, yeah, that's where I was headed to, having watched that game a couple of nights ago. That was the best we've seen them look. Talked to a couple of friends who are Giants fans, and even they were actually a little bit excited for probably the first time all season. So some life on offense. Daniel Jones, I mean, I think we're all wondering, or certainly Giant fans are wondering, whether or not he's going to be part of the long-term plan next year or beyond. That probably has more to do with whether Dave Gettleman's around. But in the immediate, just talking about this game this week, Washington, a very beatable team, and New York taking a little bit of momentum, even out of a loss. I'll take them here.
Washington coming off a bye. I like Antonio Gibson running like Leonard Fournette did a week ago, and Scary Terry has a big day against that secondary. Bill, I'll take the Washington football team.
Then you got the Raiders. They are on the road, and they're taking on the former San Diego Chargers, now the L.A. Chargers. Catch myself there. I really like what Justin Herbert has been doing. Unfortunately, he's been on a team that just hasn't been able to put everything together. As much as I really kind of appreciate what Herbert's doing, I think I still got to go with the Raiders in this one, Michael.
Do you know that the Chargers are the first team in NFL history to lose 4 straight games with 16-point leads? I mean, that takes some skill and some lack of closing ability to be able to pull off. Like, I've seen some bad Brewers bullpens, and that is what this feels like. I believe the Raiders, and I know I'm going to be crazy, I think the Raiders are a top 3 team in the AFC. I think that is a team with Jacobs running hard. David Carr is bought in and runs Gruden's system well. They've got a great tight end in Waller. I'm going to take the Raiders, and I think that this is a team that could – I mean, they beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead. I think that's a team that could be in the mix when we get to December.
Marcus?
They could be. Yeah, this is the thing about the Raiders right now. Having watched them to this point in the season, I still don't know how good or how bad they really are. I think they have the potential to, on any given week, look really solid and play very well. The case in point, the Chiefs game, Mike, that you mentioned. But then there have been some clunkers along the way, and then some stupid mistakes, and then the stupidity outside of the facility too, that's led to them being fined on multiple occasions for not adhering to the COVID restrictions. So I realize that doesn't necessarily have an effect on how they perform on the field, but I say all that to go, I'm still not sure. That being said, right now, coming off of a win in Cleveland, I think they will find a way to keep it rolling at the Chargers. So I will take the Raiders, but it wouldn't be the first time I've been burned by them this year either.
We'll blow through these last 5 games here real quick. We got about 2 minutes to go. The Dolphins on the road at 4-3, taking on the 5-2 Cardinals. I really like the Cardinals and what they're doing out there. I don't think they're ready to fly just yet, but I really like that team. I'm taking the Cardinals, Mike.
Don't believe in Tua yet, but I think Miami is a better team than the record shows. That being said, I'll take the Birds in this one.
Yeah,
Marcus?
I'll take the Cardinals as well. They're figuring it out here, getting better.
The other large point spread this weekend, the biggest one, is the Steelers on the road taking on the craptastic Mike McCarthy-led Dallas Cowboys. By the way, this is a 14-point spread in this contest. I'm taking the Steelers all the way, Marcus.
Yeah, Steelers. Dallas has shown us nothing this season to have any sort of faith in. Give me Pittsburgh.
If you have any
Mike?
Pittsburgh Steelers on your fantasy team, fire them up and feel confident. That Dallas defense is awful. Steelers roll.
This is a good one. 5-2 on Sunday night. 5-2 Saints on the road taking on the 6-2 Buccaneers. I'm taking the Buccaneers at home, but I really like this game, and we're going to see one more opportunity to really see what Drew Brees has in the tank. Mike, back to you.
Saw a bit of a shoulder injury issue for Brees in practice today, assuming he's okay. What a great spot to bring back Michael Thomas. I will take the Saints in the upset on Sunday Night Football.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, working Thomas back in is nice, but you still have to do that. I think at home, Tom Brady and the Bucs rolling the way they are, I will take Tampa.
Patriots 2-5 taking on the absolute, I can't believe this is a Monday night game, the absolutely awful New York Jets, who are just nothing like showcasing a giant turd. The Patriots are going to get the win and finally get off the schneid after losing 4 straight. Marcus?
They're only a 7-point favorite, though, which is a little bit surprising. Yeah, I don't know how anybody could possibly pick the Jets in this. New England.
The most Jets thing ever would screw up the tank for Trevor on Monday Night Football, and they're going to do it. They're going to beat New England.
I knew you'd go that way.
Give me the Jets, Jets. And it's funny, you don't hear anybody blaming other teams for skipping out on Cam Newton these days, do you?
No, not at all. Real quick, we've got the Packers against 49ers. I'm taking the Packers reluctantly because I don't even know I can't even believe they're playing this game, but I'm going to take the Packers 24-17 in this one. Mike, back to you.
30-20 Packers. I don't feel great about the win, but a win is a win in the National Football League, and I don't think they should be playing this game, Marcus.
Yeah, I had 24-10, so pretty close to what Bill called there. Because of attrition for San Francisco. Yeah, I don't know why this isn't being moved either, but assuming they play it, I'll take the Pack.
There you have it. Marcus Paff, Mike Wickett. I'm Bill Michaels. We've been brought to you by our good friends at Bud Light Seltzer. Unquestionably good. Tomorrow night after the game, don't forget to listen to the Green and Gold postgame show with Gary Ellison and yours truly. Guys, appreciate it, man.
Tip.
Thanks, Bill.
Have a good one. Time for us to go. Have a good one tonight. Soup.
All right, guys. Much appreciated.